Good morning, everyone. I want you to take a deep breath right now. Inhale and exhale. Because what we're about to step into today is not just another talk. It's a moment of transformation. A moment where you shift from waiting to receiving. A moment where you stop hoping and start unlocking the blessings that have been waiting for you all along. See, I don't believe in accidents. You are not here by chance. You are here by divine design. And here's the truth. God has already placed blessings in your life. Not just a few, not just enough to get by, but an overflow, an abundance. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. But too many of us are standing at the door of God's blessings, knocking, waiting, wondering if they ever come. I'm here to tell you, the blessings are already there. You just have to unlock them. The 3 keys to unlocking God's blessings. Key 1, shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance. Listen, you can't receive what you don't believe. Some of us are living with a scarcity mindset, walking around saying, I'm not good enough. I don't deserve more. Maybe it's just not meant for me. Let me tell you something. That is a lie. God did not create you to live in lack. He did not bring you this far to leave you struggling. You were made for more. When you shift your mindset, when you start speaking in faith, when you start expecting blessings instead of doubting them, you activate something powerful. The Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. What you believe, what you focus on, what you declare over your life, that's what manifests. So say this with me right now. I am blessed. I am favored. I am walking in divine abundance. You've got to declare it before you see it. Key 2, take bold action in faith. Some people are sitting on the sidelines waiting for a breakthrough, but faith requires action. God told Joshua, every place you set your foot, I have given you. But guess what? If Joshua never moved his feet, he never would have received the blessing. You've got to step out in faith. That means stop waiting for the perfect moment. Move now. Stop asking for a sign. Be the sign. Stop doubting your ability. Trust that God has already made a way. Faith isn't passive. Faith is bold. Faith is stepping forward even when you don't see the whole staircase. God honors movement. When you move, he moves. Key 3, stay in alignment with God's purpose. You can't unlock blessings if you're not aligned with the source of those blessings. So many people want the benefits of God, but they don't want the relationship with God. Listen to me. God is not a vending machine. He's not some genie granting random wishes. He is your Father. And like any good father, he wants the best for you, but you have to walk in alignment with him. That means stay in his word, stay in prayer, stay in gratitude, even when things aren't perfect. When you align with God, you don't have to chase blessings. Blessings chase you. Final thought. Step into your breakthrough. Look around this room. There are people here who are one decision away from a completely different life. One decision to believe instead of doubt. One decision to step out instead of sit back. One decision to walk in faith instead of fear. God is ready to bless you. The door is already open, but you've got to step through it. So today, make the decision, shift your mindset, take bold action, align with God, and watch as his blessings pour into your life in ways you never imagined. Now, if you're ready to unlock God's blessings, stand up, lift your hands, and say, I receive it. Because today is the day your breakthrough begins. The way you think shapes your entire reality. Everything you experience in life, from the opportunities you see to the challenges you face, is influenced by the way you perceive the world. If you are constantly focusing on what you lack, on what's missing, or on the things you don't have, then you will always feel like you are behind, like you are struggling, like you are never quite enough. This is the scarcity mindset, and it is one of the greatest barriers standing between you and the blessings that God has already placed in your life. When you operate from a scarcity mindset, you subconsciously tell yourself that there is never enough. Never enough time, never enough money, never enough resources, never enough opportunities. You look at others succeeding, and instead of feeling inspired, you feel like their success somehow takes away from your own. You start to believe that life is a zero-sum game, that for someone to win, someone else must lose. This kind of thinking keeps you small, keeps you fearful, keeps you stuck in a cycle of doubt and hesitation. You hesitate to take risks. You hesitate to step out in faith. You hesitate to believe that something greater is possible for you because deep down, you don't truly believe that there's more than enough to go around. But this is not how God designed the world to work. God is a God of abundance. He created a world overflowing with blessings, with resources, with opportunities. He designed life to be full, rich, expansive. When you look at nature, you see abundance everywhere. A single apple has the potential to produce an entire orchard. A tiny seed can grow into a massive tree. The oceans never run dry. The sun rises every day without fail. There is no shortage in God's creation, and there is no shortage in his blessings for your life. The only thing standing between you and the life he has for you is the way you think. It's the moment you shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset, everything begins to change. When you believe that there is more than enough, you stop operating out of fear. You stop hoarding, stop clinging, stop holding back because you know that God is your source and his supply never runs out. You stop worrying about what you don't have and start focusing on what you do have. You begin to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You begin to take action where you once hesitated. You begin to trust that what is meant for you will never pass you by. Faith is the foundation of an abundance mindset. When you truly trust that God has already made a way for you, stop feeling like you have to control everything. You stop stressing about what's missing because you know that God will provide exactly what you need exactly when you need it. You don't panic when challenges arise because you understand that every challenge carries a blessing within it. You don't compare yourself to others because you know that your blessings are unique to you. You don't settle for less than you deserve because you know that God's plans for you are bigger than anything you could imagine. One of the greatest shifts that happens when you embrace an abundance mindset is that you start to give more freely. People with a scarcity mindset hold on tightly to what they have because they're afraid they won't get more. They hesitate to give because they think giving means losing. But people with an abundance mindset understand a powerful truth. Giving is the key to receiving. The more you give, the more you make room for new blessings to flow into your life. When you give generously, whether it's your time, your energy, your resources, your knowledge, you activate a divine principle that multiplies what you have. You shift from being someone who chases blessings to someone who attracts them. Think about the people who always seem to be blessed, the ones who always have more than enough. It's not because they are just lucky, it's because they understand the flow of abundance. They are always giving, always serving, always pouring into others, and because of that, their own blessings continue to increase. The more you give, the more you trust, the more you walk in faith, the more you will see doors open, opportunities appear, and resources flow into your life in ways you never expected. Your words and thoughts play a massive role in shaping your reality. If you constantly say, I can't afford this, I'll never get ahead, things never work out for me, then guess what? That is exactly what you will experience. Your words have power. The Bible says life and death are in the power of the tongue. When you speak in lack, when you speak in fear, when you speak in doubt, you are reinforcing a scarcity mindset. You are blocking the blessings that are trying to reach you. But when you start speaking in faith, when you start declaring abundance over your life, when you start thanking God for blessings you haven't even seen yet, you begin to align yourself with his provision. You create a space for blessings to flow. Shifting from scarcity to abundance doesn't mean ignoring reality. It doesn't mean pretending that challenges don't exist. It means choosing to see beyond them. It means knowing that no matter what is in front of you, God is bigger. It means trusting that even when things look impossible, there is a way forward. It means knowing that you are not limited by your current circumstances because God can create miracles out of any situation. Scarcity makes you focus on what you lack. Abundance makes you focus on what is possible. Scarcity makes you afraid to lose. Abundance makes you excited to grow. Scarcity makes you hesitant to give. Abundance makes you eager to share. When you live with an abundance mindset, you stop waiting for the right moment and start making the moment right now. You stop asking, what if it doesn't work? And start asking, what if it does? You stop settling for what is and start believing in what could be. Your blessings are already there. They are waiting for you to see them, to claim them, to step into them. The only thing standing in the way is your mindset. Once you break free from scarcity thinking, you will start to experience life on a completely different level. You will start to see doors open where you once saw walls. You will start to feel a sense of peace and confidence that you never had before. You will start to attract opportunities that you never imagined possible. God wants to bless you, not just a little, not just enough to get by, but abundantly. The question is, are you ready to receive it? Faith is not passive. Faith is not just believing in something and waiting for it to happen. Faith is movement. Faith is action. Faith is stepping forward even when you don't have all the answers, even when you don't see the whole picture. Too many people are sitting on the sidelines of their own lives, waiting for a breakthrough, waiting for a sign, waiting for confirmation before they take the first step. They say they are believing for something, but their actions don't reflect that belief. They are stuck in hesitation, in doubt, in uncertainty. They are waiting for the perfect conditions, waiting for the fear to disappear, waiting for all the risks to be removed. But faith doesn't work that way. Faith requires bold action. It requires you to move before you see the outcome. It requires you to step before you see the path. It requires you to trust that when you move, God moves with you. When God told Joshua that he had given him the promised land, he didn't just hand it to him. He said, every place you set your foot, I have given you. That means Joshua had to move. He had to take steps. He had to walk forward into the unknown, into the uncertainty, into the challenges, believing that with every step, the promise was being fulfilled. If Joshua had stayed in one place, if he had waited for a sign that everything would be easy, if he had waited for absolute certainty, he never would have received what was already his. The blessing was there, the promise was real, but it required movement. It required action. It required faith in motion. Fear is what holds most people back from stepping out in faith. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough, fear of what others might think. But fear is nothing more than a barrier between you and your blessing. It's an illusion that keeps you playing small, keeps you second-guessing yourself, keeps you from walking in the fullness of what God has for you. Fear will always be there, but faith is what allows you to move forward in spite of it. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is taking action even when fear is present. It is knowing that your fear does not define you, that your doubts do not determine your destiny, that your obstacles are not stronger than your faith. Some people think they need to have all the answers before they take action. They want to know exactly how things will work out, exactly when the breakthrough will come, exactly what steps to take before they move. But that is not faith. Faith is taking the step without seeing the full staircase. Faith is moving when you don't have all the details. Faith is trusting that as you go, the way will become clear. The people who succeed in life, the people who walk in God's blessings, are not the ones who wait until everything is perfect. They're the ones who take imperfect action, who move even when they don't feel ready, who step out even when it doesn't make sense. They understand that faith is not about knowing the whole journey. It's about trusting the one who leads the journey. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting for motivation before they take action. They think they need to feel ready, feel inspired, feel confident before they move. But faith is not about feelings. Feelings are temporary, feelings come and go, but faith is a decision. It is a choice to trust, a choice to act, a choice to move forward, even when your emotions tell you otherwise. If you wait until you feel ready, you will be waiting forever. Readiness comes from action, not the other way around. The moment you step out, the moment you take that first bold move, you will find the strength, the confidence, the clarity you were looking for. God cannot bless what you refuse to start. Too many people pray for a breakthrough but never take the first step. They pray for a business to grow but never launch it. They pray for a relationship to improve, but never put in the effort. They pray for financial increase, but never manage what they already have. They pray for opportunities, but never prepare for them. God honors movement. When you take a step, he meets you there. When you show up, he shows up. When you do what you can, he does what you cannot. Faith is a partnership. It is not just believing, it is acting on that belief. There is power in momentum. The hardest part is always the first step. But once you move, once you break through that initial resistance, everything starts to flow. Doors start to open, opportunities start to appear, strength starts to build, but none of that happens if you stay in the same place. If you refuse to move, you remain stuck. If you refuse to act, you stay in waiting mode. And waiting mode is where dreams go to die. The people who walk in God's blessings are not the ones who wait the longest. They are the ones who take the boldest action. They are the ones who believe that if God called them to it, he will equip them for it. They are the ones who step out, not because they have all the answers, but because they know who holds the answers. Taking action in faith does not mean you won't face challenges. It does not mean the road will be easy. But faith gives you the power to push through obstacles, to overcome resistance, to keep going when things get tough. The enemy wants you to hesitate. He wants you to doubt. He wants you to second guess yourself until you talk yourself out of your blessing. But when you commit to moving forward no matter what, when you decide that you will not let fear stop you, when you choose faith over doubt, nothing can hold you back. God did not create you to sit on the sidelines. He did not place dreams in your heart for you to bury them in fear. He did not give you a calling for you to ignore it. Everything you need to succeed is already within you. The ideas, the gifts, the opportunities, the favor. It's already there, but it requires action. It requires boldness. It requires faith that moves. Faith is stepping out when it doesn't make sense. Faith is investing in yourself before you see the return. Faith is applying for the opportunity before you feel qualified. Faith is making the call, sending the email, taking the risk. Faith is knowing that you are not walking alone, that God is guiding you, that every step you take is leading you closer to the blessing that has already been prepared for you. The difference between those who receive God's blessings and those who don't is not luck, it's not talent, it's not background or resources, it's action. It's the willingness to step out when others hesitate. It's the courage to move when others stand still. It's the faith to believe that what God has for you is worth pursuing, worth fighting for, worth stepping into, even when the path is unclear. Faith is not just something you have, it's something you do. The blessings you are waiting for are already waiting for you. The only thing left to do is move. Alignment with God's purpose is the foundation upon which all blessings flow. Without alignment, it doesn't matter how much effort you put in, how many opportunities come your way, or how much knowledge you gain. If you are out of sync with God's purpose for your life, you will always feel like something is missing. You can chase success, wealth, recognition, or anything else the world promises will bring happiness, but if it's not in alignment with what God has designed for you, it will never truly satisfy. When you are aligned with God's purpose, everything begins to flow in a way that is beyond human logic. Things that once felt like a struggle suddenly become easier. Doors that once seemed locked suddenly open. People and resources that you once had to chase start finding their way to you. This is because alignment brings clarity, direction, and divine favor. It puts you in the exact position to receive what has already been prepared for you. Many people spend their lives asking, what is my purpose? They search for meaning in careers, relationships, material success. But true purpose is not something you create for yourself. It is something you discover in God. He designed you with intention, with a plan, with a mission that is uniquely yours. When you live outside of that purpose, life feels frustrating, confusing, and unfulfilled. You may achieve worldly success, but deep down, something always feels incomplete. There's a reason for that. You were not designed to operate outside of God's plan. When something is used for the wrong purpose, it either breaks or it never reaches its full potential. A car is designed to drive on roads. If you take that same car and try to drive it in the ocean, it will not function properly. Not because the car is flawed, but because it is not in the environment it was created for. The same is true for you. If you are living outside of what you were created for, you will always feel like you are struggling, like you are fighting against life itself. But when you step into your true purpose, when you align with what God has designed for you, things begin to fall into place. The struggles that once drained you suddenly lift. The obstacles that once seemed impossible suddenly become stepping stones. Alignment requires obedience. It requires listening to God's voice, even when it doesn't make sense. Sometimes God will ask you to walk away from something that looks good on the surface because he has something better. Sometimes he will ask you to let go of something comfortable because he wants to stretch you into something greater. Sometimes he will close a door that you thought was meant for you because he knows it would lead you away from his best. Trusting his plan means being willing to move even when you don't see the full picture. It means surrendering your own plans, your own timeline, your own understanding, and trusting that God sees what you cannot see. When you are in alignment with God's purpose, there is a sense of peace that goes beyond circumstances. Even when challenges arise, even when things don't go according to plan, you have an unshakable confidence because you know you are exactly where you are supposed to be. This doesn't mean life will be free from difficulties, but it does mean that you will have the strength to overcome them. It means that setbacks won't shake you because you know that God is still in control. It means that rejection won't break you because you understand that rejection is often redirection. It means that waiting seasons won't discourage you because you trust that God's timing is perfect. Many people are misaligned because they are chasing things that were never meant for them. They see what others have, they see what the world values, and they assume that is what they should pursue, but not everything that looks good is God's best for you. The world glorifies achievement, status, money, fame, but none of those things can replace the fulfillment that comes from walking in your true calling. There are people who have everything the world says should make them happy, yet they are empty inside. There are people who have reached the top in their careers, yet they feel lost. This is because success outside of God's purpose is meaningless. True fulfillment, true joy, true peace comes when you are aligned with what God created you to do. Alignment is not about perfection, it's about direction. It's not about having everything figured out, it's about moving in the right direction, even when you don't have all the answers. It's about being willing to let God lead, even when you would rather be in control. It's about trusting that even when things don't make sense in the moment, they are all part of a bigger plan. Sometimes God will take you through seasons that don't look like blessings at first. He will take you through situations that test you, that refine you, that stretch you, but every moment is preparing you for the purpose he has designed for you. What feels like a delay is often God's way of positioning you. What feels like a setback is often a setup for something greater. Staying in alignment requires constant connection with God. It requires prayer, it requires spending time in his word, it requires listening to his guidance instead of leaning on your own understanding. The more time you spend with God, the clearer your purpose becomes. The more you seek him, the more you recognize his voice. The more you surrender to him, the more he directs your path. People who live in alignment are not just those who have great faith, they are those who take daily action to stay connected to the source of their faith. One of the biggest signs of alignment is that your life begins to bear fruit. When a tree is planted in the right soil, when it is watered, when it receives sunlight, it naturally produces fruit. It doesn't have to force itself to grow. It doesn't have to struggle to bear fruit. It simply thrives because it is in the right environment. The same is true for you. When you are planted in God's purpose, when you stay connected to him, when you allow him to guide you, your life begins to produce fruit naturally. You start to see blessings unfold, not because you are striving, but because you're in the right position. You start to have an impact on others, not because you are trying to be influential, but because you are living in purpose. You start to experience a level of joy and peace that is not dependent on external circumstances, but is rooted in something deeper. Misalignment often leads to exhaustion. When you are out of alignment with God's purpose, everything feels harder than it should be. You feel drained, frustrated, unfulfilled. You feel like you are constantly pushing, but never making progress. This is because you are operating outside of what you were created for. But when you align with God, when you step into what He has designed for you, you move with grace instead of struggle. You still work hard, you still put in effort, but there is a different energy behind it. There is a flow, a momentum, a divine ease that comes when you are walking in what you were meant to do. Every person has a unique purpose, a specific assignment, a calling that is tailored just for them. No one else can walk in your purpose the way you can. No one else can fulfill your calling the way you can. This is why comparison is so dangerous. When you compare yourself to others, you risk stepping out of alignment because you start chasing what was meant for them instead of what was meant for you. You start measuring your progress against someone else's timeline, and in doing so, you lose sight of your own path. God's plan for your life is unique. His timing for you is specific. What He has for you is not dependent on what He is doing for someone else. Alignment with God's purpose is the key to unlocking the blessings that have already been set aside for you. It is the foundation for peace, for joy, for fulfillment, for success that is meaningful and lasting. Everything you are searching for, everything you are praying for, everything you are hoping for is already available to you. It is simply a matter of stepping into alignment and allowing God to lead the way. Gratitude is the key that unlocks the fullness of God's blessings. It is not just about saying thank you when things go well, but about maintaining a posture of gratitude in every season, in every circumstance, in every moment of life. Gratitude is a mindset, a way of seeing the world, a way of positioning your heart to receive more of what God has already prepared for you. Too many people live their lives focused on what they don't have, what hasn't worked out, what is still missing. They allow lack to consume their thoughts, to shape their emotions, to dictate their decisions. But gratitude shifts your focus. It takes your eyes off what is missing and places them on what is already present. It rewires your thinking from scarcity to abundance, from worry to trust, from disappointment to expectation. When you are grateful, you stop waiting for the next big thing to make you happy. You stop postponing your joy until circumstances change. You stop thinking that peace is somewhere in the future. You start realizing that you already have more than enough reasons to be joyful, to be at peace, to feel blessed right now. Gratitude is a multiplier. Whatever you focus on expands, and when you focus on what you are grateful for, you invite more blessings into your life. It is not about manipulating God into giving you more, but about aligning yourself with His abundance. When you complain, when you focus on what's wrong, when you dwell on what's missing, you create an atmosphere of negativity, and that negativity blocks your ability to receive. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of frustration, disappointment, and discouragement. But when you practice gratitude, you create an atmosphere of faith, of expectancy, of joy. You start to see God's hand in every detail. You start to recognize blessings you once overlooked. You start to attract opportunities, favor, and increase because your heart is open to receive. Gratitude doesn't change God, it changes you. It shifts your perspective, your energy, your ability to recognize and appreciate what God is already doing in your life. Many people think they will be grateful once their prayers are answered, once their dreams come true, once their problems disappear. But gratitude is not a result of blessings. It is the cause of them. The people who experience the most favor, the most joy, the most peace are not the ones who have the easiest lives, but the ones who choose to see the good in every situation. They're the ones who wake up each day and say, "Thank you, God, for another opportunity." They're the ones who, even in difficult seasons, find something to appreciate. They understand that gratitude is a habit, a discipline, a choice that must be made daily. They don't wait for everything to be perfect before they express gratitude. They express gratitude, and that gratitude transforms their reality. Gratitude is the foundation of faith. When you are truly grateful, you eliminate fear, doubt, and anxiety because gratitude and fear cannot coexist. When you are thankful for what you have, you stop worrying about what you lack. When you appreciate where you are, you stop being anxious about where you're going. Gratitude reminds you that if God has been faithful before, he will be faithful again. It strengthens your trust in him, your confidence in his plan, your ability to surrender control. Many people live with an underlying sense of dissatisfaction, always feeling like they need more, like they are falling behind, like they are missing out on something. But that mindset is a trap. It keeps you in a state of never enough, always chasing, always striving, never truly enjoying the present moment. Gratitude breaks that cycle. It grounds you in the now, in the blessings that already surround you, in the realization that you are already walking in favor. Gratitude is an act of worship. When you thank God, you acknowledge his goodness, his provision, his presence in your life. You shift your focus from your struggles to his power, from your problems to his promises, from your limitations to his unlimited ability. Worship is not just about singing songs. It is about living in a state of constant gratitude. It is about seeing God in everything, thanking him in everything, trusting him in everything. When you live with gratitude, you don't just pray for what you need, you praise him for what he has already done. You don't just ask for more, you recognize that you already have more than enough. You don't just seek blessings, you realize that you are already blessed. Gratitude is a weapon against negativity. The enemy wants to keep you focused on what is wrong, what is missing, what is broken. He wants you to live in frustration and comparison, in discontentment. But gratitude disarms his strategy. When you refuse to dwell on what is lacking and instead focus on what is good, you take back control over your emotions, your thoughts, your spirit. Gratitude silences complaining. It shuts down negativity. It stops worry in its tracks. It fills your heart with peace and your mind with clarity. It gives you strength in difficult times, joy in uncertain times, and hope in challenging times. It is not a denial of problems, but a decision to see beyond them. One of the greatest habits you can develop is the practice of daily gratitude. It is not enough to feel grateful in the moment. You must actively cultivate it. Wake up each morning and declare something you are grateful for. Write down your blessings, speak them out loud, meditate on them. Instead of starting the day thinking about what you lack, start the day thanking God for what you have. Instead of going to bed replaying what went wrong, end the day reflecting on what went right. Make gratitude a part of your conversations, your prayers, your thought patterns. Surround yourself with people who live in gratitude, who encourage you to see the good, who remind you of God's faithfulness. Protect your mind from negativity, from comparison, from toxic influences that make you focus on what you don't have instead of what you do. Gratitude transforms relationships. When you appreciate people, when you express gratitude for them, when you recognize their value, your relationships grow stronger. Many relationships suffer not because of a lack of love, but because of a lack of appreciation. People feel unseen, unrecognized, taken for granted. But when you take the time to express gratitude, when you acknowledge the good in others, when you celebrate their presence in your life, you deepen connections, strengthen trust, and create an environment of love and positivity. A grateful heart is not quick to criticize, not quick to complain, not quick to find fault. It is quick to encourage, quick to uplift, quick to see the best in others. Gratitude opens doors. When you appreciate what you have, you position yourself to receive more. God blesses those who steward well what they have been given. If you are faithful with little, he will trust you with more. If you are grateful for small things, he will entrust you with bigger things. But if you constantly overlook your blessings, if you take them for granted, if you fail to acknowledge what he has already done, you block the flow of more blessings into your life. Gratitude is not just about receiving, it is about stewarding well what you already have. Gratitude is the antidote to stress. Studies show that people who practice gratitude have lower levels of anxiety, depression, and stress. This is not just psychology, it is spiritual truth. A thankful heart is a peaceful heart. When you focus on what is good, when you celebrate what is right, when you acknowledge God's hand in your life, your stress decreases, your joy increases, your overall well-being improves. Gratitude is one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to shift your life in a positive direction. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't require external change. It is something you can practice in any moment, no matter what is happening around you. The more you practice gratitude, the more natural it becomes. At first, it may feel like a discipline, something you have to remind yourself to do. But over time, it becomes a way of life, a default mindset, a natural response to every situation. You stop seeing obstacles as setbacks and start seeing them as opportunities for growth. You stop worrying about what you lack and start appreciating what you have. You stop waiting for joy and start experiencing it in every moment. Faith and action work together to unlock God's blessings. Many people pray for blessings, they declare God's promises, they believe for breakthroughs, but they fail to take the necessary steps that align with what they are asking for. Faith is not just believing. It is moving in expectation. It is taking action even when you don't see the results yet. It is stepping forward even when the path is not fully clear. It is trusting that if God has called you to something, He will provide everything you need along the way. Too often people wait for the perfect moment, for all the conditions to be right, for a sign that removes all doubt before they take action. But faith does not wait for certainty. It moves in obedience. When God told Abraham to leave his homeland and go to a place He would show him, Abraham didn't wait for every detail to be explained. He didn't demand to see the full plan before he obeyed. He moved in faith, trusting that God would guide him step by step. That is the kind of faith that unlocks blessings. The kind that doesn't need to see the whole staircase before taking the first step. Many people ask God for direction, but when He gives them an instruction, they hesitate. They second guess, they delay, they analyze every possible outcome, and in doing so, they miss the opportunity that God has placed in front of them. God's blessings often come disguised as opportunities that require faith-filled action. When Peter saw Jesus walking on water, he had the opportunity to do the impossible. Jesus told him to come, and in that moment, Peter had a choice. He could have stayed in the boat waiting for the storm to calm down, waiting for reassurance that he wouldn't sink, waiting for the perfect conditions, but instead he stepped out in faith, and for a moment he walked on water. It was only when he allowed doubt to take over that he began to sink. That is what happens when we start strong in faith, but then allow fear, doubt, and overthinking to rob us of the blessing that was already in motion. God responds to faith, but faith is not passive, it is active. It is demonstrated through movement, through decisions, through taking steps even when we don't have all the answers. There is a difference between waiting on God and hesitating out of fear. Waiting on God is about trusting His timing, seeking His direction, and preparing for what He is about to do. Hesitation, on the other hand, is when you already know what He has instructed you to do, but you delay out of uncertainty, insecurity, or fear of failure. God cannot bless actions that are never taken. He cannot multiply seeds that are never planted. He cannot open doors that you are unwilling to walk through. Faith without action is dead. You can believe all you want, but until you step forward, you will remain in the same place. Some people are praying for financial breakthrough, but they are not taking the steps to steward their finances wisely. They are asking for promotion, but they are not developing the skills, work ethic, or discipline needed to handle the next level. They are believing for healing, but they are not making the necessary lifestyle changes that align with health. They are asking for new opportunities, but they are rejecting the small beginnings that prepare them for greater things. God honors faith, but He also honors action. He expects His people to move in alignment with what they are believing for. Throughout the Bible, we see that every miracle required an act of faith. When God provided manna for the Israelites in the wilderness, they still had to go out and gather it. When Jesus healed the blind man, He told him to go and wash in the pool of Siloam. When the woman with the issue of blood received her healing, it was because she reached out and touched the hem of Jesus' garment. These were not people who just sat back and waited. They took action. They moved in faith. They demonstrated their belief through what they did. That is the pattern of how God works. He provides, He blesses, He opens doors, but He expects us to take steps toward what He has made available. One of the biggest obstacles to faithful action is fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of uncertainty. Many people stay stuck because they let fear dictate their decisions. They convince themselves that they are waiting on God, but in reality they are paralyzed by doubt. They want absolute certainty before they move. But faith is about stepping out even when you don't have all the answers. The fear will always try to keep you in the boat, to keep you playing small, to keep you from stepping into the unknown. But nothing extraordinary happens inside the comfort zone. Every great blessing, every breakthrough, every major shift in life happens on the other side of a faithful decision. Doubt is another enemy of faith. It will make you question whether God really spoke to you, whether you are capable, whether you are worthy. It will make you look at your circumstances instead of God's promises. It will make you second guess the steps you already took in faith. But doubt is a distraction. It is designed to pull your focus away from what God is doing. That is why faith requires persistence. It requires you to keep going even when doubt creeps in, to keep believing even when you don't see results yet, to keep taking steps even when it feels like nothing is happening. Faith is not about having no doubts at all. It is about choosing to trust God more than you trust your fears. Taking action in faith does not mean you won't face obstacles. In fact, sometimes taking a step of faith invites challenges. The moment you decide to move forward, resistance often shows up. But resistance is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. It is confirmation that you are stepping into something significant. The enemy does not attack people who are standing still. He attacks those who are moving forward. That is why perseverance is so important. Some blessings take time to unfold. Some doors require persistence before they open. Some breakthroughs require a season of preparation before they manifest. When people give up too soon, they miss out on what God was about to release. Obedience is a key part of faith. Sometimes God will tell you to do something that doesn't make sense in the natural. He may lead you to walk away from something good because He has something greater. He may ask you to take a risk when you would rather play it safe. He may call you to step into something unfamiliar when you would rather stay where it's comfortable. Faith means trusting that His ways are higher than your ways, that His plans are greater than your plans, that His instructions are always leading you to something better. The Bible says that obedience is better than sacrifice. You can pray, fast, declare God's promises, but if you are not obeying what He has already told you to do, you are delaying your own breakthrough. Faith also requires patience. Sometimes the step you take today does not produce an immediate result, but that does not mean it is not working. Seeds take time to grow. Some prayers take time to manifest. Some breakthroughs require endurance. Many people quit too soon because they expect instant results. They plant a seed, and when they don't see immediate fruit, they assume it's not working. But faith is about trusting that what you have sown will produce a harvest in due time. When you move in faith, you position yourself for divine connections, opportunities, and favor that you could not have orchestrated on your own. God moves through people, through circumstances, through seemingly small moments that lead to big blessings. But if you are not taking action, you may miss the opportunities He is placing in front of you. When you step out in faith, you activate divine alignment. Resources begin to show up. People you need begin to cross your path. Doors begin to open that you never could have forced open on your own. Faith sets miracles into motion. It is not just about waiting on God. It is about moving in the direction of what you are believing for.